Yeah, and we can take a look at the best records so far, and most of these being held by the racers that are left in the round of 16. A couple stand out, right? We're looking at HyunSu still holding the record for Ancient Aqueducts, Hong holding the record here for New York Rally, but most of the other ones are held by the racers that we'll see today and tomorrow here in the round of 16. It's kind of crazy to think that we're still going to have to eliminate 8 more from here to get to the final 8, but cool. Just saying you need to become better. Not sure if he's just motivating himself or telling everyone else, because he is the defending champion of the preseason so far here in Kart Rider Draft. And of course his teammate SUNGBIN just saying, I want to have some fun, but of course part of that fun would include going to the winner's match, because traditionally at the end of the day, most of the racers that...
Yeah, it was definitely a bit of a struggle to get up here for SUNGBIN despite being in first place. HyunSu.
If I make it, I'll have to come every day next week, including the team matches. So, I mean, is that what you want? I mean, hopefully.
Yeah, World saying, is this lineup for reals? Please go easy on me. And I'm sure that a lot of people can relate to that, given the amount of just high value names we have here. And so far for World, the problem has been for him in solo match.
And next up, we have DDING. And just saying that I'm going to be Joker. Why does he have Joker? Oh, he's going to rip Joker's little fan sign. That's cruel. A better career high, set a record every time you're in the KDL. And next up, it's going to be Neal, and he's been in Korea for a year now.
Yeah, speaking of career high, Neal is absolutely one of the players that stand out, being a Royal Roader here in Korea. And we know Neal for his Neal builds that are more efficient in the lines, but in the craziest ways.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen a little bit of a different style there, and Joker just answering right back to DDING, saying, oh, okay. You've grown up a lot, all right? Just calm down a little bit. Yet, next up, with the orange stripes, we've got Duzzi coming out. And all right, you know what? I've got the energy of the orange. Now, all the colors, they kind of have their own little kind of favors or curses and myths that people, some of the players like to believe in. But solo matches with this lineup, it's a totally different story. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be kicking things off on track number 1. We go to Village Boom Hill Tunnel.
Ladies and gentlemen, we begin our match number 1 of round of 16 as we see World in the lead right now with SUNGBIN and HyunSu.
Yeah, and you mentioned it earlier, obviously, World, the biggest problem has been his consistency. When he's good, he's so good, but being able to constantly get the podium finishes, right, get the most points, has always been the trouble, where he can't quite, get into that first seed, get into the final 8, get into the final 2, things like that in the past season.
Ooh, SUNGBIN going crazy right now, knocking out a lot of the players while maintaining his position. You can see he's recovering right there into first place.
Yeah, meanwhile, Neal just kind of sitting back at the later part of the standings. Now HyunSu trying to maintain a podium finish right now, and DDING's right behind him alongside Duzzi.
Yeah, World has been pretty consistent so far in maintaining that first place. Now it's HyunSu really trying to contest that as well, as we see SUNGBIN. He's trying to go for the railing play, and he gets second place. No, first place off that.
Yeah, it works out well for him. Same for Duzzi as well. Duzzi had to greed for a little bit of that boost gauge, but it finishes well for him, and he's able to try to avoid the collisions, try to maintain it, but he gets
Duzzi
shoved right into the crates on the shortcut. That's going to push him all the way down to 8th place. Meanwhile, it's a race between SUNGBIN and HyunSu. Neal trying to see if he can get overtake
SUNGBIN!
Wow, HyunSu gets checked right away. He'll still finish in 3rd, but that gives that opening for Neal to sneak right on into 2nd place. HyunSu looked like he was going to make a good run for it, but at the end of the day, he gets bumped right into the... As we get ready for SUNGBIN's choice in round number 2, it is going to be Glacier Extreme Stadium. And of course, SUNGBIN will be choosing the track that he currently holds the record for, showing the confidence here on Glacier Extreme Stadium. This is one of those tracks where, in the beginning, everything's going to be fairly clumped up, but after the initial first lap on those hairpins at the very end, we'll start to see a couple players try to break apart.
But the positive news here for Duzzi is that he's been able to maintain a top position pretty consistently thus far. But of course, it's now Neal going for the tight inner lines that's giving him that first place.
Ooh, and I like that Duzzi didn't shy away from the fight there on that corner, right? Oftentimes sometimes what we see is a lot of players who aren't too used to the solo matches, you know, in the round of, or in a group of 8, you get a little scared of the physical battles, but Duzzi says, no, I'm not giving up this line, I'm not giving up this build. He's trying to contest for the podium. He's still trying to fight against World as well.
Yeah, Duzzi lost out on the line bit, and Joker was able to block him out completely. Now Duzzi falling back into 5th place. It is a battle between Neal and World as Neal jumps out.
Yeah, Neal just says goodbye, World, and goes right up into the sky. As World continues in 1st place, Neal's going to have to go for a lot of redemption. He simply just needs to catch up right now. Even getting out of 8th place looks a little tough. Meanwhile, the focus, as we keep an eye on Neal on the right side of the screen, it still comes down to World versus Cool in 1st and 2nd place.
World being pretty consistent right now, being able to maintain that spot. But SUNGBIN is now going to come in and set World behind. Now it's between Cool and SUNGBIN to fight for that 1st place.
Oh my gosh, the 3 members of Guangdong Freaks all in the top 4 trying to vie for that next track selection. But Cool says track number 1, round number 1 was just a fluke. I'm back. Meanwhile, Joker trying to break into the podium finish. Okay, a little bit of a collision on that jump. That gives an absolute opportunity for World to shoot right back ahead.
Yeah, Cool falls out of his line. Now it's World looking to maintain, but it's Ding with the tighter lines here.
Oh, and SUNGBIN tries to bump Ding out, but Ding actually is going to get slowed down on the collisions, and that gives an opportunity for Cool, who was able to maintain the closest line to the corner off of the jump. He's the most opportune kart rider drift, and he is able to come in 1st place. Neal eventually not able to quite stabilize. He just maintains 0 points coming in 7th place. That puts him at... We move on to round number 3. This is Cool's selection as he got 1st place in the previous track. It will be World Tour Rio de Janeiro.
Round 3 of round of 16 starts right here, right now in Cool's track of selection. It was Ding holding the best record so far. Let's see if he's able to break that record here.
Yeah, I mean, we can already see just this entire round of 16. Everyone respects each other so much to the point that everyone's trying to play so aggressive. We're seeing collisions every track early on as people are just vying to keep the lead. But for now, Neal once again in the lead. Of course, just the one tracker. Can he maintain it this time without any crazy crashes?
It seems like it so far because Neal has been really at it by guarding the tightest lines, making sure that no one else can take it. So now it's World taking the outer, but Neal, he has the boost right there and he's still in 1st place.
Yeah, I mean, you can just tell Neal, he's kind of playing it as if he would play time trial, right? Nothing crazy, no crazy build right now, but just going for the most opportune lines, and SUNGBIN and Ding trying to catch up. SUNGBIN's been doing very well today in contesting for those podium finishes.
Oh, but World comes in and blocks Neal out. Now it's World and Ding in 1-2. Looking really good for them right now. We have SUNGBIN and Duzzi following up.
Yeah, SUNGBIN almost lost his momentum there, but World, he's continuing to try to prove that it's a different time this time in the round of 16. Ding, can he finally get his 1st time finish, though? He will get 1st place, 10 points to his name, and he's trying to make sure that he can climb right back up in the standings. Ding, a little bit of a rough start so far, but he's going to... Oh, okay, a new record again here for Rio de Janeiro.
Yeah, Ding is looking super solid right now overall. Of course, we have SUNGBIN who's coming in at 5th place, which is still good enough to maintain that 1st place overall. Now we're moving into round number 4, which is picked by Ding himself. Let's see if Ding can be the first one to take 2 1st place finishes in Mine 3 shortcuts.
And we're off Ding's choice, but currently in terms of points, it's still SUNGBIN in the lead with 18.
And now we have HyunSu putting his name on the board. It's been a while since we've seen him. He's sitting at only 4 points right now, so he really wants to finish off in 1st here.
Yeah, now, of course, this is a 3-lapper, and you've got a couple of short... Ooh, World actually hits the wall, but Neal helps him with the recovery a little bit on that collision. I think both players will be fine with how that ended up, though. Now, Ding putting a lot of pressure onto HyunSu. This was Ding's choice, so Ding doesn't want to lose that momentum. He wants to get to select the next track once again.
Yeah, HyunSu is having a really healthy lead right now, along with Ding. Neal really far away. It's like a 2v2 happening in the top 4 section. Cool also being in the flank, trying to get in the top 5. Duzzi, SUNGBIN, Joker, nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, and I love what Cool did as we entered lap 2, right? He realizes there's no one around him, so he takes that as an advantage to continue his continued drifts to make sure he maintains that boost gauge and he's able to find an opening to try to catch up.
Yeah, but so far, HyunSu has been winning that 1v1 against Ding, still maintaining that 1st place here as we see Cool and Neal fighting it off in 3 and 4. This position is not changing anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing right now is HyunSu, right? He's still able to hold on to that number 1. Ding's putting a lot of pressure on, but But like I mentioned, Cool, after that the beginning of lap 2, he's now able to kind of be ahead in boost gauge almost against the top 2 players. He's trying to find an opening, and he's putting on pressure against Ding. Now Ding has to worry about 2 players instead of 1.
You can see Cool taking the most aggressive turns each time to get the most perfect angle to now boost in to place. Now he is putting a lot of pressure on Ding and HyunSu here. Will he be able to take away the 1-2?
Oh, he enters on the side, but he bumps the wall just barely, not able to maintain the acceleration. And Ding will be our first player that finishes first 2 tracks in a row, getting yet another track selection for round 5. Into the running here, but we'll see if that's going to be enough because he's still a little ways behind. But good news for him is like players like World, right? They didn't actually get much points here this time around, so that was a bit of a rough one. Currently, it is going to be Ding selecting yet another track, and he's going to be taking us to our next round on World Tour New York Rally.
Off we go into round 5 of round of 16, match number 1. It's once again HyunSu in the lead.
Yeah, okay, Cool with a little bit of a different build here as he started on the side. Just goes for that deep cut in the very beginning to try to gain an advantage in the boost, and now he's in contention for a podium finish.
Yeah, and I like that thing. He went for the outer there, taking a completely different line. It has paid off for him, now maintaining that top 4 pretty healthily. However, World, he's getting contested by HyunSu right now.
Yeah, and Ding, he's really taking advantage of the draft timings that he's getting. He's now pushed all the way up to number 2. Meanwhile, my eyes on the standing, yep, it's on this player right here, Neal. Can he continue to gain a couple extra points to get right back into a safe position in the point standings?
Neal got a really nice boost there. Ding, he's going to hit the wall, and that's going to give the room to Neal now, taking that 3rd place. Neal trying to defy HyunSu from that first, but he's too far right now.
Yeah, but Neal's putting on pressure once again. He's got the draft going from SUNGBIN, but SUNGBIN's got his own off of the front players, and now he overtakes first place for HyunSu. World trying to regain his position, but Neal says no. He actually finds an opening in between all the players. He has to recover just a bit, but in time before they enter these railing sections.
Neal with this decision-making is always on point in these clutch moments. He's right now holding on to first place. Joker looking for the inner, however, Neal blocks him out excellently.
Yeah, and HyunSu tried as well, but it's going to be a little too tight, lose a lot of speed. That actually gives an even better lead for Neal. Players are getting knocked out from the corners left and right, but Neal versus HyunSu. HyunSu has overtaken him. Neal, can he get that final draft? He does. He's trying to find the angle. He gets the straightaway, and man, the mind games. HyunSu tries to block him off, but Neal says, this time I'm just going straight, and will be able to finish first.
That is super huge right there for Neal because he's now going to have 23 points off that win, effectively propelling him into that top 4 now. And this is the clutch play that we expect to see out of Neal. I feel like he's one of the best players here in KDL at the draft management as well as the timings.
Yeah, I mean, really the draft timings, right? Like you said, it's just crazy how he knows exactly the speed advantage that he's going to get off of those drafts. If he knows, is this a chance I have or not? And then he just acts on it right away with no hesitation. That really gives him that advantage in the mind games. So while Ding will be able to maintain the first place lead for now, Neal's starting to catch up.
Yeah, and what's scary is that there's still such a fierce competition right now to be in that top 4.
I mean, had a strong start, but starting to struggle just a little bit in the last couple of tracks. Meanwhile, Neal wants to take us to another difficult one. We go to Mine Winding Slopes. Here's a racer that we haven't talked about in a little bit. Joker, he's been pretty quiet. Can he redeem himself? HyunSu gets pushed right into the pillars off the start, and he is pretty much out of the picture as we just got started here on Winding Slopes.
That is really unfortunate for HyunSu because he was tied for 4th place with SUNGBIN. The only thing he has going right now is that SUNGBIN is in 7th place. We see Neal, he's trying to go for the 1st place here, but Cool will be his biggest opponent.
Yeah, and Neal's got a lot of players right behind him, so he wants to watch out. He's actually going to still play aggressive. And Joker is the one who actually pays the price of all those members being clumped up. Hits the pillar, gets knocked off the track. Meanwhile, Ding with an aggressive jump. However, Neal still maintaining a better speed, so he's able to keep that 2nd place for now.
Yeah, Neal had a beautiful inner line there. Once again, Ding losing out on the corner. It's Neal trying to contest Cool now, but Cool is a bit too far away.
Yeah, Cool's just racing far, far ahead. There's not too many opportunities, but Neal is getting in range of draft. You can see it's starting to blink a little bit. And as we start to enter these final hairpins, Neal, if he can maintain the right angle, he should be able to find an opportunity.
Neal with the spin turn.
Yeah, he's doing it to try to catch up. He now has an opportunity for the draft. Can he get it in time, though? No, Cool's not going to give him the time of day, and Cool will be able to cross the finish line first. Neal comes in second.
Man, I like that execution of the spin turn from Neal there. And usually when players are able to execute that to perfection.
Cool, Cobb, and Collected comes in first place. Sets a new record as well here on Winding Slopes.
Yeah, that's definitely a nice thing to have under his belt. He already has many trophies, but you would love to add another one there as we take a look at the standings now as we get ready to enter round number 7 in Forest Zigzag Timberland. Off we go into Cool's choice of track, wanting to secure another first place finish here, but he is getting blocked out by DDING in the beginning phases.
Yeah, and Duzzi trying to finally get some podium finishes. He's only gotten one in third place so far 2 tracks ago. Can he try to put his name back on the board? He isn't that far away from 4th place, so if he can get first place, get another track selection, that could be the start of Duzzi's comeback.
Yeah, both Cool and DDING are really far behind right now, and SUNGBIN, he is struggling with consistency. He has been consistently in that bottom 4 in the beginning of the races as of recent. Now it's Neal and Duzzi fighting for 1-2.
Yeah, Neal, he's really starting to make a comeback after a rough start in the first couple of tracks. We'll see if that can continue. But Cool, he somehow made a name for himself. Oh, Duzzi does get bumped off the railing a little bit, but we are still only in lap number 1. Of course, these hairpins, I mean, it's a choice between collision or do you make it safe? Oh, everyone's trying to just make sure they don't make way.
Yeah, Neal tried to take the perfect line there, but he's going to pay the price for that. Not too much, though, because he's still in 2nd place. Not too far behind World. He's taking little collisions, but they don't matter because overall, Neal's line is still really clean.
Yeah, but Duzzi put so much pressure that Neal eventually hit that wall, so Duzzi took the risk of getting, or losing speed rather, and he actually makes an opening for himself to try to get back into podium finish, maybe even potentially first off this draft.
Yeah, World really trying to protect that right now by hugging the inners that other players are trying to take. Now it's Neal trying to look for a way to pass Cool.
Yeah, and of course HyunSu and SUNGBIN, 2 players who also desperately want some big point bonuses to try to make sure they can secure a 4th place spot to get into the winners matches. We've still got a couple more tracks to go, but you never know when it's going to end once you see players like Cool try to get into first place.
World has been holding on to that first place pretty firmly so far, but now Cool and Neal putting a lot of pressure right now, and that may be enough for World to give up some of his line, but so far his blocks have been excellent.
Yeah, but Neal, look at this. He sees the opening as World and Cool fight against each other. Neal finds that opening. He weaves in between. He is a survivor of that collision so far, but World still holding on to first.
Yeah, Cool was the one who took the most damage out of those collisions. Now Duzzi comes in with the best line there. World with the recovery. This 1-2 fight is so intense.
Yeah, Duzzi had the draft, but he was a little too tight, so he loses speed as he comes out of the turn. Does he have one more chance? It doesn't look like it. World is going to be able to finish first, and meanwhile, Joker finally getting a podium finish for himself in 3rd. Absolutely. Again, he was one of those players that was tied for 5th, like you said. So this is going to matter a lot for him. Meanwhile, Cool falls all the way down to 6th place, and SUNGBIN still not able to escape kind of the 6th and 7th place here. And so he's been sitting at the 19 points once again. But ladies and gentlemen, we still have a couple more rounds to go. This time we are going to be going to Desert Construction Chaos. World's first choice here in the round of 16. He finally gets that first place. Brings us here to Desert Construction Chaos.
Yep, and we're seeing Cool and HyunSu fighting it off. It's been a while since we've seen HyunSu up here. He definitely needs some points now. First place would be pretty ideal for him, but Cool and SUNGBIN is here to say no.
Yeah, I mean, players like Cool right now, what they're trying to do is just finish things off, right? Get to the 50-point cross and just say it's over for the round of 16. I'm moving on to the winners matches. We'll see if he's going to still have that opportunity because there's still quite a few players that are giving him a run for his money.
And you have to keep in mind that World, he's up in that podium ranking right now. He absolutely wants to manage that because he's the one in the hot seat in 4th place, now actually coming into 1st.
Yeah, Neal does have that draft, and he finds that opening on the corner right at the end of that acceleration. And now we go in through the 90 degrees, but Neal actually found... Oh! He did find a good opportunity, but he barely cuts it a little too close, gets knocked all the way back down to 8th place.
Yeah, he was weaving through all the players masterfully, but it was the wall that he couldn't weave through, and now it's Cool and World fighting it off for 1st and 2nd. SUNGBIN is pretty far behind right now.
Yeah, SUNGBIN, I mean, it looked like he had a decent start, of course, finishing 1st place in our very first track, but afterwards, it's been all downhill. Meanwhile, World, if he can get 1st place as Cool continues to get podium finishes, World's going to really solidify himself in the top 4.
Yeah, now Joker coming up into the 3rd spot as well to make sure that his name is not forgotten, wanting to throw some ways into Cool, making sure that his line falls behind.
Yeah, and Ding, he's climbed way back in, once again into the podium. Ding currently leading with 37 points. He wants to be the one who can wrap things up with the 50. He wants to be at least ahead of Cool right now.
The World, he's absolutely maintaining 1st place for himself, which is going to be pretty huge. It's Joker trying to pressure him, but World is unfazed.
Yeah, meanwhile, Neal still at the heel here in 8th place. Meanwhile, World and Joker, oh, Joker tries to put on the pressure, but pays for it as World just safely cruises on by. Joker gets knocked all the way back down to 5th place. Meanwhile, Cool finds an opportunity as Duzzi and Ding get into a battle. Cool actually trying to maintain a podium finish for himself. Ding makes a good jump.
Cool.
Oh, wow.
With the aggressive plays coming in, it seemed like Ding was going to make use of the aggression coming out of Cool, getting the better lines, but Cool is able to come in 2nd place at the end.
But at the end of the day, it's Cool who still kind of takes the highlight on that track. And so Cool, getting quite a few points to his name, brings him right back up to 1st place, overtakes Ding by just 1 point. And it's going to be World's next selection. He loves the desert as he brings us on round 9 to Desert Ancient Aqueducts.
We start off for round 9 in World Selection of Track, looking to be the first, three first-place finisher in this race.
Yeah, meanwhile, I mean, everyone else is trying to just climb right back into the top 4. They gotta hope that Ding and Cool don't get the 1st place, whether it's by your own hands or someone else's, because they just want 1 or 2 extra rounds to try to gain some more points.
Yeah, Duzzi right now, he's been having a pretty easy time up here in the 1st. Now Ding is applying some pressure to him. SUNGBIN coming up as well, like a hyena, to make use of that, and he's able to take 1st place.
All right, SUNGBIN trying to get right back into the running. It is a little ways away, but same thing with Duzzi. He's sitting at 5th place with the 25 points, but they are 10 points away from 4th place and Neal with 35.
Yeah, I mean, these racers don't want it to end on round 9 so far, it seems, especially if Duzzi and Ding Joker, they're able to maintain the names that we've seen usually in the bottom 4, now in top 4.
Yeah, I mean, Ding, he wants 1st place, of course. He wants to wrap things up here as we enter the 2nd lap. Same thing with Cool. However, Duzzi says, I need you guys to not get 1st place. I got to maintain. Ooh, Joker just trying to maintain some speed, but there's a couple more turns there. Not able to recover in time.
Yeah, Duzzi having a phenomenal run right now. Of course, Cool. It feels like he's always in top 4, applying pressure to everyone around him, and now it's Ding who is behind him, and Ding just managed to now take the lead.
Yeah, meanwhile, HyunSu's another one of those players that's tied at with 25 points at 5th place. He wants to get up there with Duzzi. However, it's all for naught if Ding or Cool overpasses Duzzi to get 1st place.
Yeah, Cool looking for that right there, but he did collide into the wall. Now gives all the space opening to Ding and Duzzi. Ding looking to win the body checks, and he does.
Yeah, Ding positions himself so well from the out to in. However, he's not able to maintain his acceleration. Duzzi will survive, gets the recovery, and now Duzzi, can he survive in the last corners? It looks like he defends himself.
Cool.
But Cool, oh my god, barely not able to take over. And ladies and gentlemen, we still have at least 1 more round to go. Just all the way down to the end, depending on track selection. But we do have Cool now 1 point away from the 50, so he can really finish anywhere in the top 5, and he should be able to, or top 6 rather, and wrap things up for us here in the round of 16.
As we get ready to enter round number 10, held in WKC Korea Circuit.
And we're off here on Korea Circuit. Now the big question is Duzzi, can he finish ahead of Neal? Because then, even if the race ends, he should be able to overtake him into the top 4, go on to the winner's match, and push Neal down to the loser's match.
Yeah, in fact, speaking of, Duzzi right now fighting for top 2 with HyunSu. Absolutely the position he wants to be in, but Neal and World, they're not going to give in that easily. They're in top 4 now.
Yeah, it is curious to me that Duzzi, obviously we're kind of running out of track selections here in the 1st round to go, but he goes for one of those WKC tracks, right? A little bit of a wide track where you can just play your own race. You don't have to worry too much about physical scuffles. He just wants to race on his own time, and it looks like that's favoring him so far as he continues to maintain a podium spot.
Yeah, that's really paying off for him so far. HyunSu being that 2nd place is not going to really worry him too much. He just needs to make sure that he is staying ahead of Neal and World.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I mean, as long as Cool stays somewhere here in the front of the pack, the race is going to end after this track. But the question is, who gets into the top 4? Neal currently at 8th place, so it's looking more and more likely that Duzzi should be able to keep ahead in points.
Yeah, he's keeping ahead, but World is also ahead of Ding right now. But as you said, Ding just needs to beat out Neal, right, to get into the top 4. So basically, he needs to never allow Neal to pass him.
Yeah, oh, Neal's coming back over the Duzzi. He cannot sit in 8th place. He's going to get the draft timing to overtake a lot of the other players, but everyone's still so clumped up that the draft timings are where things are going to shine. And Neal, if he finds one towards the end, he might be able to come right back in to the top 4.
Ooh, yeah, Duzzi is trying to take the tighter lines here to bypass the players. They haven't given him that room, but now he finds a way to get into top 3 contention, followed by World, and Neal is all the way down in 7th.
Yeah, Neal just wants to climb right back in. He doesn't want to let go. It's Duzzi versus Neal. Duzzi currently 1 spot ahead of Neal. While it does look like we might have a finish to the track, but my eyes are on the standing. Duzzi, does he come in before Neal? He does. He's going to get 1 point and actually tie up with Neal.
That we highlighted as the underdog is able to perform so well here is super huge to me.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, there you go. Tied for 36 points each. So Ding, Cool, and World will be moving on to the winners match. However, Neal and Duzzi will have to play a tiebreaker, and HyunSu, SUNGBIN, and Joker will have to await their match in the losers match.
It's gonna be dependent on who wins this tiebreaker between Neal and Duzzi in Village Boom Hill Tunnel.
And they're off as we have 1 spot left in the winners match in the round of 16 of solos. It's green versus orange, Neal versus Duzzi.
The one thing you have to keep in mind about Neal is that he's always great with timing his draft, so even when he's behind, it really doesn't mean much. Duzzi would need to build a much bigger lead.
Yeah, and one thing you'll notice is that Neal, while he stays behind, he gets these drafts just to keep up, but he doesn't always use it right away to try to overtake. He doesn't take that risk. He knows he just has to take over in the right time once. You don't have to constantly compete for the entire track.
Yeah, you can see Neal focusing mainly on the boost gauge management. Both players are pretty equal so far, and as you said, Will, Neal is just staying behind Duzzi, but does take this opportunity to use that draft.
Yeah, he sees Duzzi bump into the wall a couple times, knows he's lost speed, and he says, well, this is the moment. I don't even have to wait for that final draft. However, now he needs to play defense against Duzzi a little bit. Oh, he tries to bump Duzzi into the wall. A little bit of aggression coming in, then uses the draft to try to take back over. However, Duzzi from the out to in. Neal bounces him against the corner. What a block as Neal enters the shortcut. And Duzzi, he's trying to recover. It's too tough. He has so much to do, and Neal starts to cruise away as he gets 100 meters close to the finish line, and Neal will safely cross it and secure the winner's match.
Neal threw attacks after attacks at Duzzi. They weren't working, but when it mattered most, it connected and it completely executed Duzzi's line, and Neal takes a win in a Neal fashion.
Yeah, I mean, exactly like we said, right? He's always played it safe and sound when it comes to 8-mans, but when you go to that 1v1, you don't know what you're going to get. Meanwhile, you've got Ding with a little bit of a crying celebration here. But of course, Ding was able to wrap things up for us here in the round of 16 alongside Cool and World initially, and then Neal will be able to close things out against Duzzi. And I mean, Duzzi tried his best, right? Even after Neal takes him over the first time, Duzzi actually defended against the attack on the bridge jump. But Neal, like the way he positioned himself, what's crazy is that Duzzi, in theory, had the better line going into those 90-degree turns. However, Neal just says, well, if I maintain my speed, you just get bumped out against the wall. And that's the crazy thing about Neal, is that he's so good in both the mind games, the physical games, and of course, just the pure racing skill.
Exactly. Not only do you need the physical racing skills, it's also important that your decision-making is on point when your heart is racing in those clutch moments. And we've seen Neal be right so many times on this decision-making so far, and that is exactly what bought him this spot in top 4 of round of 16 winners match.